Oh, yeah. Hello, gorgeous. Welcome to Tarot. As you can see on your screen, I have the Ace of Pentacles pulled up, and today we're just going to chat a little bit about basic correspondences, kind of how you can use it, how you can apply it, and a little caveat here. I don't read reverse meanings. And when I do have a reverse card in the readings, I'm just going to throw this out there. If you are a person who wants to do reverse meanings, by all means do that. But the way that I teach, we're not going to talk about the negative aspects of the card per se. Okay? So just keep that in mind as we move forward here. So jumping right in, we have the Ace of Pentacles. Now, as you can see from the picture, my deck is a little bit old and a little bit beat up because that's actually the deck that I use there. And that's the Llewellyn Tarot. And they have it's like the Celtic Llewellyn Tarot. It's actually a really cool deck. And this is my second one of that particular deck. So, the Ace of Pentacles. The element of the Ace of Pentacles is earth. And with all things earth, we're going to have some subcategories going along with that, which we will touch on in a little bit later. Signs. The signs associated with the Ace of Pentacles are Capricorn, Virgo, and Taurus. Now, as we move forward into this, we're going to take a little bit of a look of some more in-depth, lesser-known qualities of the Ace of Pentacles. Now, I think everybody kind of has a firm grasp on what it means most of the time for when you pull it and it's like a new job opportunity or new, these basic sort of concepts here. So what I want to do is kind of go a little bit more in depth and some things that you wouldn't necessarily think about here. Okay? So when we're talking about the times, any kind of time frame associated with the Ace of Pentacles, we could be looking at one, right? Pretty obvious, self-explanatory. We could be looking at 1 month, 1 year, 1 day, 1 hour even, or even a minute from now, who knows? But anything that has to do with the number 1, we really want to keep in mind when we're pulling the Ace of Pentacles. Now, the time of day, okay, as if you do the research on this, you may find some differing answers, but everything that I'm going to teach you is my own personal experience, plus some things you'll find outside sources. So when I talk about the time of day, I'm thinking first thing in that morning, right? So if I'm doing manifestations, if I'm doing my positive affirmations, and I pull this Ace of Pentacles while we're in the middle of a reading, I'm going to be thinking first thing in the morning, okay? Next, we have key words. So when we're talking about keywords, if you want just kind of like quick reference points for the overall energy of Ace of Pentacles, we're looking at stability, opportunity, luck, gain, success, prosperity, a new start. These kind of like first steps, initial energy, gate door openers. Does that make sense? All right. So the next thing we're going to kind of touch on here is the body. Now, with Earth being the overall element of this card, we have to think about things that are material. So not just the body and finances, but we're thinking about a little bit more in depth on that. And we will touch a little bit more on that in a bit. So when we talk about the parts of the body, we're going to be thinking about the head. When I pull the Ace of Pentacles, this could give me a little indication about their mental state or what they're focusing on. But it also can talk about the head as part of the physical body. So headaches or even positive things. We could be having somebody getting bright visions or the physical head. Okay. So when we're talking about the overall positive or negative aspects of the card, obviously the Ace of Pentacles is going to carry a more positive connotation to it. So generally when asking yes or no questions, we're going to be looking at yes rather than no answers. And even when it's in reverse, it could still mean yes, with some little quirks here and there. All right, so when we talk about elemental suggestions and the quality of Earth and how Earth plays a role in us as human beings, we're going to be looking for a couple of things. Now, when a person has too much Earth, this can result in thicker skin, thicker fingernails, something called Hedonia. Now, Hedonia is almost like the loss of lust for life. It's like nothing really fulfills you, nothing really makes you feel great anymore, and this would be an indication of too much Earth. Now, also overeating and defeatist thinking and foggy brain. Okay, so foggy brain is going to take us back to that whole element of the head. You see how that correlates here? Now, when the earth levels are low, and this can manifest in being underweight, having brittle nails and hair, lower muscle mass, coldness, instability of moods, relationship issues, some anxiety. You could see how an element, an under a balance where it's not as much earth in your life could leave you feeling a little bit ungrounded. Now, when earth is balanced and you feel safe and grounded and clear mind and you have some inner peace and hope and gratitude, that's how you know that the energy of earth is really kind of playing its role properly in your life. When we're moving forward towards love, okay, and initially when you pull the Ace of Pentacles, you don't really think about love because that's more of an Ace of Cups sort of issue. But in Ace of Pentacles, we can look at this in love, meaning that it could suggest the beginning of a new partnership, right? So the very first step or something, or the door opening. I like to think of aces as door openers, gateways, this kind of thing. It could be, a new partnership or love interest. I do feel like it has a lot to do with positive energy in the dynamics of a relationship. So when you pull Ace of Pentacles in, like, let's say a compatibility reading or a love reading, it's kind of a general indication that this is going to be a positive aspected thing. It is suggested that that when the Ace of Pentacles pulls up between two people, that it's almost like it's like an equal match of vibration between two people. Like they both are bringing this positive aspect to it. They're both bringing this happy element, and that's always a wonderful thing to see. Now, the ace also can suggest stability between those two people and security and opportunity for growth. So it's like, two people who pull the Ace of Pentacles might buy a house together. They might win the lottery together. There's a lot of positive indications, and that's on the extreme side, but it could be something as simple as, all their bills are paid and they vibe really well. And that's a wonderful thing. It doesn't have to be one way or another for the extremes. It can really find balance in its energy here. Okay, moving on, we have career and finance. So the Ace of Pentacles is suggestive of a new opportunity, whether that's going to be in the form of a new job or promotion, bonus. It can really just depend on the surrounding cards here. Overall, the energy of financial gain is present when you pull the Ace of Pentacles. And that's kind of what we mostly think of when we see the Ace of Pentacles in readings. It's like your brain kind of wants to go immediately to like financial gain, which overall, yeah, this has a lot to do with financial gain, but I think that there is more to it when placed around other cards. And at some point during the course of these videos, we're going to start looking at how cards talk to each other in a reading. Alrighty, moving on. So, suggestions for the Ace of Pentacles. Be open to new opportunities and allow yourself to daydream and imagine your new situation. Practice alignment, manifestation mantras. When you're thinking of new beginnings, allow yourself to really go there and really visualize clearly about what you want, because it seems like when you pull the Ace of Pentacles, that door is present and all you have to do is really step through into it. Whew, I'm talking kind of fast because I'm nervous. When speaking of reverse meanings, okay, now we touched on this in the beginning. I personally do not read reverse meanings as the negative aspects of cards. Now, I've been reading tarot for 20 years. Holy moly. I didn't even think about that until now. So 20 years. And over time, when I first started, it was, I read the book, I applied the meanings, and then I gave readings kind of based on what the card said in the book. But over so long, you develop a relationship to the spirit of tarot. And, you can take that a couple of ways. But when I read cards, I'm also connecting to my guides, right? And so I'm getting these kind of like what in the medical field, off-brand use. But when I pull a card, yes, you're going to have that typical meaning to the card that's applied to it. But over time, you kind of develop your own sense of what cards mean to you and how they talk to you. And Some tarot readers have a lot of decks of cards, and each one kind of have his own thing. And for the foremost, I agree with that. But there is an aspect to my cards, like I'll use one deck until it falls apart on me, and then I'll get another one and replace it. But this feeling of developing a relationship to your tarot card deck is really where that communication starts to blossom, starts to bloom. With my card reading and my guides, sometimes I'll pull a card and it will mean exactly what the book says it means, but then there's an added element of what spirit thinks it should say in response to some of the other cards around it and or the situation as a whole. So that being said, you can take this suggestion if you want, or you can leave it if it doesn't suit you. That's kind of my whole thing. Take what serves you, leave what doesn't. But as we go forward, I'll tell you, when I see reverse cards in a reading, my brain automatically thinks about the internal process instead of an external process. So to clarify, let's say I pull in a reading, I pull that Ace of Pentacles in reverse. The first thing I'm going to be thinking of is I will often look deeper at the person's internal state, right? Their emotions, their mental state, their thinking patterns. When the ace appears in reverse, my first instinct is to ask questions about the relationship to money, wealth, and if they have any negative thinking patterns and related to money. This can illuminate kind of hidden blockages to wealth and success, and also their health and wellness. So if you're doing the health reading or if you're doing a finance reading, it's kind of, either or. But when I'm pulling reverse cards, the first thing I'm going to do is think to myself, okay, so these reverse cards are happening inside of this person, and the upright cards are probably happening around and outside of this person. Does this make sense to you? Now, if this works for you, use it. If it doesn't, that's fine. Everybody's different. They're going to develop their own style when it comes to reading. So when we're looking at a person's internal processes, and we'll dive further into this as we go along the series, but we're going to be thinking about how their relationship to money. Were they raised around wealth? Were they raised around poverty? Did they have a healthy relationship to having wealth, or did they develop negative thinking patterns over time? And I'll give you a good example here. My partner that I've been with for a few years grew up poor during early childhood and then very wealthy during teenage and early adulthood. And during that time, developed two conflicting mental states when it comes to wealth. And then after his family had lost their wealth in general, when he reached middle to, I'd say, probably right before he hit 30, the family lost their wealth. What ended up happening is that he developed these real negative thinking patterns to wealth, because at first money had no bearing on things. It wasn't a healthy thing that people had, and they learned how to cherish and work for them and stuff. It was like it was not there, then it was there, then it was gone. And then after it was gone, there was this bitterness that developed to people with wealth. And we've been over this a few times where he'll see somebody who's very wealthy, or he'll see a very expensive car, and instead of thinking good for that person, I'm glad that they are successful and having abundance in their life, he'll have a negative thing to say, because his own internal processes is only people who are negative have wealth, and the associations with that. So for my partner, he would pull the Ace of Pentacles in reverse a lot because he has a negative relationship to wealth. Does this make sense to you? All right. So even though things in his life go well, and even though, money's not necessarily an issue, it's still a point of contention for him because of his trauma. So we want to keep that in mind when we're pulling Ace of Pentacles for people. Now, a reversed ace can indicate that they're blocking themselves from accepting wealth, like we just talked about, or that they have some latent belief systems that are limiting their imagination and thusly their manifestation. So we want to really kind of touch on manifestation when we're pulling the Ace of Pentacles and what their manifestation processes are. Are they negatively manifesting blockages to wealth by negative patterns, or are they actively focusing on their manifestation techniques? These are questions you're going to want to ask when you pull the Ace of Pentacles. All right. So generally speaking, that's going to be the end of this quick video. I'm going to try to keep these around 15 minutes each. If you have any questions, all of my links are in the description down below, and I hope you guys are blessed. Love ya.